Hello, welcome to CE 109 or Engineering Economy. Today we are going to talk about inflation. So, oftentimes we hear this term inflation. Okay, so sometimes they tell us we are experiencing inflation. So, what really is an inflation? So inflation is defined as the increase in the prices for goods and services from one year to another, thus decreasing the purchasing power of money. Okay, so especially right now, we are experiencing pandemic, right? So many jobs are lost, many businesses closed because of strict health protocols. So, kay nahina man ang market, so the retaliation sa atoang mga sellers is taasan nila ang presyo. 'Di ba mataas ang presyo kasi dili na kaayo siya mapalit or dili na kay siya mahalin, especially the essential goods na wala tay choice kung dili paliton such as groceries, right? And medicine. So, ang inflation, it is the phenomenon where there is a rise in the prices of what we usually buy. Okay? Thus, decreasing the purchasing power of money. So, ibig sabihin, ang 100 pesos noong araw is not the same as 100 pesos ngayon. So, di ba, we have heard from the stories of our parents before na sa 100 pesos, daghan na daw kay silag mapalit. I-compare nimo karon ang 100 pesos mura na lang siya sinsilyo sa tua. It's because mahal kaayo ang presyo sa mga bilihin. So if nagataas ang presyo sa bilihin, nagahina pud ang atong kwarta, gamay lang tag mapalit, gamay lang tag purchasing power. Okay? So, is inflation bad? Well, what I can say about inflation is that it's a natural phenomenon. It's normal. As the years go by, we really have to experience inflation. Okay? Kasi that is also dictated din sa kanang trading good with other countries. So if our currency is kanang mahina siya, so nagataas atong mga presyo kasi murag ilimit nato ang pagbaligya sa mga resources para dili din siya mahurot. 'Di ba? Kung wala kaayo or kanang unsa na kung tagaan for example maingon ta kung tayo ma'am walay kwarta ang mga pobre, what if tagaan na lang nato silag kwarta? What if kanang ang state mag-make og mga paper bills niya panghatag-hatag sa pobre? Dili pud na siya pwede kasi mawala na ang balance sa atoang market. Mahitabuan na dako kaayo ang kwarta pero gamay lang ang mapalit. Para sa Korea, 'di ba? If you have watched Korean novellas or mga Japanese anime, 'di ba? Ang ilahang mga pagpalit 20,000 won. Wala mo kay mahal silang kuan uy tag 20,000 kung i-compare nato na sa tuang kwarta kanang 20,000 dako jud na siya pero ang 20,000 sa ilaha murag ka level lang na siya sa puan sa 600 pesos. Ana good kasi ang Korea before naka-experience na sila og kanang economic crisis wherein grabe ang pagtaas sa mga bilihin. Grabe ang pag-increase sa mga bilihin na wala nag-keep up ang ilang kwarta. So ang nahitabo, daghag kwarta pero gamay ra ang makita, gamay ra ang mapalit. Kasi wala na tarong og balance. Pataka lang sila og produce og money pero wala nila gitan-aw kung kanang sana ma-match pud ba siya sa resources available sa market. Also, what is happening right now sa Venezuela? So if you have heard the news, luoy kay didto ang kwarta nila ginapang labay-labay na lang sa streets kasi wala na siya bili. Bali kung magpalit sila something, 1 million na ang halaga, kay ang kwarta nila wala na siya value. So, ang mga paper bills, wala na, gipanglabay na nila kay wala na sila po'y mapalit, na loot na tanan ang ilang mga resources. Okay, so that is the effect of inflation, high inflation rate. So, in short, inflation is normal, but you still have to kanang keep it in a low lang na rate. So, for example, in every year, if mag-increase tag 0.1%, okay lang na siya. Balag nagataas, basta gamay lang pud na pagtaas. Kung grabe pud ang pagtaas, for example, pagka 2021, due to the effect of the pandemic, mutaas ang inflation rate instead na ang normal lang yun na pagtaas kay mga 0.1, may mo na siyang 5%. So, dili na siya maayo kay dili ta maka-keep up sa prices. Wala man pud gataas atong sweldo. So, ang nahitabo lang ana, mababaan lang atong purchasing power. Okay? So, mas mao nang maka-feel ta na lalong naghihirap ta kay taas ang mga presyo pero ang atong kwarta mao ra gihapon, wala po'y pagtaas. Okay? So, inflation is really important in kanang also studying the economy. So, if we have low inflation rate, then that means our economy is kanang alive and kicking. Kasi there is a constant uh, exchange of goods. Kibali ba, nag-circulate ang kwarta. Ang kwarta, wala siya na keep lang sa isa ka place. Ang kwarta, nag-circulate sa mga tao. Pag high ang inflation rate, that means na most of our money is not circulated in the market. So, mostly siguro nakasave sa bangko or wala nang gikwarta at all. Mao nang high inflation rate. So, from the purchasing power perspective, kung mao ni ato ang hunahuna, kung maingon tag kanang inflation, that is the future cost of the commodity is equal to the present cost of the commodity times 1 plus f raised to n. So, if we are thinking from purchasing power perspective, ang presyo sa isa ka butang sa future is equal to the presyo niya karon times 1 plus the annual inflation rate raised by the number of years na siya na inflation rate. Kibali, if mupalita og kanang, for example, milk tea, ang presyohan pa lang sa milk tea ron, 50 pesos. So, in 1 year or 2 years time, dili na siya 50 pesos. Of course, it will go higher than 50 pesos. Okay, that's the purchasing power perspective. So, for example, we have this one. An item costs 1,000 pesos. So, if the inflation is at the rate of 8% per year, what will be the item or the cost of the item in 2 years? Okay, so isa ka libo pa siya karon. So if ang inflation is at the rate of 8%, in 2 years, pila naman iyang presyo? So of course, we have to use this formula. FC is equal to PC times 1 plus F raised to N. Okay, so the future cost of the commodity is equal to its present cost times 1 plus the rate is 8%. So 0.08 raised to n, n is number of years, 2. Okay? Actually, ito siya, FC is equal to PC times 1 plus F raised to n. Okay. So, therefore, the future cost of the commodity is equal to 1,000 times 1.08 raised to 2. So the answer is 1166.4. So kibali in 2 years time, dili na siya tag 1,000 but 1,166.4. Okay. From the buying power perspective, kibali ang kwarta nimo karon mao pa ni ang mapalit in how many years time, pila na lang iyang mapalit. So ang F is the future worth of money. So ang future worth sa kong kwarta is equal sa iyang present worth karon divided by 1 plus annual inflation rate multiplied by the years na siya. Okay, so makabaluta na ang future worth sa money is nagagamay kasi yung present worth i-divide nato. So pag i-divide mo gamay ang value sa P, 'di ba? Unlike kanina kasi multiplied ang future cost money, cost perspective. Ang future cost is equal to unsay ang present karon multiplied by the rate. So kay multiplied by the rate man, of course mutaas gyud na siya kung cost, pero ang worth sa atong kwarta will be diminished kasi this time na divide siya. Alright? So if interest is being compounded at the same time that inflation is occurring, so kung dili lang inflation ang naa but the interest is also compounded, so mahitabo, the future worth sa tong kwarta is equal to, di ba, remember this one, this is simple interest na formula. Di ba? Ang future worth sa imong kwarta is mao ni ang iyahang equivalent. Ang present worth multiplied by the 1 plus I or the rate raised to n. Di ba? Sa simple. Kung compounded na siya, then ang I is equal to the rate over the compounding period, diba? R over M. And N is the compounding period times the number of years. So, money ang future worth sa kwarta, but we are talking naman about inflation. Kung i-factor nimo ang effect sa inflation, so of course, i-divide pa na nimo 1 plus F raised to N. So, katong previous na to na lesson sa una, wala man ta nag-factor of inflation. So, ang ato alang value is equal to P times 1 plus I raised to N. Karon na mag-factor na tag-inflation, so we have to divide it 1 plus F raised to N. Okay? So, F, of course, the future worth of money. P is the present worth of money. I is compounding rate. F, annual inflation rate. And N is the periods. Okay, let's have an example. An economy is experiencing inflation at an annual rate of 8%. If this continues, what will 1,000 be worth 2 years from now in terms of today's pesos? Okay, so how do we know na dili future cost ang pangutana ani? So ang pangutana man good, unsa daw ang worth sa 1,000 in 2 years time? Dili man ang cost sa 1,000 in 2 years time worth man. So therefore, we have to use this formula F is equal to P times 1 plus P over. So we have to use F is equal to P over 1 plus F raised to N. Okay? So therefore, so P nato is the present worth over 1 plus 0.08 raised to N, 2. 857.34. Okay, so kibali, ang 1,000 nimo karon, ang iyahang worth na lang sa iyang mapalit next 2 years is 857.34. Okay? And then, another example, a man invested 10,000 at an interest rate of 10% compounded annually. What will be the final amount of his investment in terms of today's pesos after 5 years if inflation remains at the rate of 8,000 per year? Okay, so i-dissect na to ang problem ha. A man invested 10,000. So of course, ang present worth is 10,000 at an interest rate of 10% compounded annually. So compounded annually man 10%, unsa man ang itubo ani? So 1 plus 0.10. What will be the final amount? So F ang ginapangita of his investment in terms of today's pesos after 5 years. So N is 5. Okay na unta. Kung dira lang taman ang ato ang question, so mao na ni pagka-answer. Pero gidungagan man niya if inflation remains at the rate of 8% per year. Of course, ang future worth sa imong kwarta na ingon ani ang pagtubo, imo pa na siyang divide sa inflation rate. So 8% is 0.08 raised to 5. So this is your future worth of the money if we factor or if we consider the inflation. So 10,960.86. Okay, so this is the future worth of the money. Alright, so we are already done with inflation. Now let's move on to our next topic, which is annuity. Okay, so what is annuity? An annuity is a series of equal payments occurring at equal periods of time. Okay, so this is the definition of an annuity. So, ang annuity daw is kanang sagunson na equal payments at equal periods of time. So, what are the examples na makaingon ka annuity na siya? So, the examples are home mortgage payments. So, if nag-loan mo, housing loans, di ba, every month naghatag mo og kwarta. So, that is series of equal payments. Car loan payments, pension payments. Ang pension payments, ikaw ang nagadawat. And kanang sa mga home credit, di ba, if mag-utang ta, home credit, di ba, every month, naghatag ta, depende sa contract kung kano sa siya mahuman. Basta, if naghatag ka every period, depende na every year ba, every 3 months, every month, every day, basta a series of equal payments, we call that annuity. So for an annuity, we have fixed period of time. So example ana is kanang housing loan na sa pag-ibig, 30 years ang contract. So sa 30 years gyud fix na siya nga magbayad gyud ka, di na siya mabag-o kay mao man ang nasa contract. And we also have the contingent annuity. So ang contingent annuity, mao na siya, magbayad ka, bayad until ma-stop. So, wala ka balo ka na sa ma-stop. For example, kanang sa pension. 'Di ba if mamatay ka, o di na kakadawat og pension, yun makabalong kung sa ka mamatay. So, contingent annuity na siya because you do not know when will the payment will stop. Okay? Basta series of equal payments, we call that annuity. So, let's have ordinary annuity. So, ang ordinary annuity, it is a type of annuity. So, it is one where the payments are made at the end of each period. So, pag makakita gani mo sa problem, payments are made at the end of each period, then that is ordinary annuity. For example, karong bulana, nagutang ko, nag-home credit ko, nagutang ko og cellphone. So, dili sa ko mubayad karon og monthly, di pa ko mubayad og monthly. Okay? Usa man ron, November 18, 19. November 19 karon, nagutang ko sa home credit. Pagka December 19, dito na magsugod akong monthly. So, at the end of each period. So, inaani yung cash flow. So, 0 ta sugod, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on and so forth, hangtod end periods. Okay? So, naay mga equal payments ana up until mahuman ang period. So, as you can see, nagsugod ang payment when n is 1, dili when n is 0. Okay? Kasi at the end of each period. So, unsa kalahian ana sa kuan ma'am kanang mga compounded ug simple? Well, sa simple or compounded, kaisa lang ka nagbayad, unya dal-on na day na nimo until asa ka mahuman, kaisa lang ka nagbayad. Pero pag annuity manggod, kanunay hantod mahuman. Okay, so mo nang kalahian ha. Ang simple or compound inani lang cash flow, kaisa lang, and then unsay future worth niya pag-abot sa panahon. Pero ang annuity kanunay ka maghatag-hatag. Okay. So, let's discuss the present worth of an ordinary annuity. So, unsay pasabot sa present worth of an ordinary annuity? Ang example ani, for example, kanang, sige na kog example, sabi lang. Mag-save kag kwarta. For example, ako, gusto na ko mo retire at age 30. So, I'm 25 right now. So, in 5 years time, gusto na ko mo retire. Okay? So, para maka-retire ko at age 30, magpundo ko kwarta karon. Magpundo ko kwarta, mag-save ko sa bangko. So, kung mag-save ko bulto karon sa bangko, at every year na ako'y madawat. So, kibali, ang madawat nimo every year, kung kano sa mahuman, dalon nimo na siya sa present, kung sa iyang equivalent karon, para makadawat ka og inana na amount at that every period. Okay? So, ina na example ana, mag-ipon ka karon para in every period, say every year, na kay madawat na inana na equivalent. Example ana is kanang investment or kanang sa mga Sun Life, 'di ba? Mas mag-ano sa karon, mag-ipon, and then pagka next kung kano sa mag-mature imong savings, every year na kay ginadawat or pension, SSS. So sa SSS, narbaho ta until mag 60 years old ta. Kung buhi pa ta ana. So after 60 years, every year or every month na atay pension. So equivalent na madawat nato every month sa pension kay mao to ang equivalent niya karon. Kibali bulto sa karon, and then at each period na kay madawat na equal series of payments. Okay? Mao na siya. Dalo na to sa present tanan. Kita ninyo? na ay series of payment A and then dalon sa present. Okay, remember na sa future worth sa kwarta, whether compounded interest ba na or simple interest, for example, simple interest ha, the P present worth is, the F future worth is equal to the present worth multiplied by 1 plus I raised to N. Diba? Okay. Kung i-divide nato na, say, P divided by F, so P divided by F is equal to 1 over 1 plus I raised to N. Tama? Kung isa ka na to ng term sa baba, saka na to na sa numerator, mag-negative ang exponent. Sa algebra, mag-negative. So therefore, P over F is equal to 1 plus I raised to negative N. Okay. Tanawon na to ato ang cash flow. Tanawon na to atong cash flow. Isa lang sa kaay atong i-consider. Kibali, A is the future worth and P is the present worth. Bali, i-regard na to si A as F, 'di ba? Future man siya. And then P is the present worth. So therefore, ang F diri alisdan og A is equal to P raised to 1 plus I raised to negative N. So this is the general na to ang makita. But daghan man kayo ng A until N, until sa mahuman. So therefore, if ato ang isolve ang P, so P lang atong isolve. So if isolve kay di ba ato ang gusto kaon is the present worth of the annuity. So solve for P. So P is A over 1 plus I raised to N. Di ba? Kung isa ka nato na A times 1 plus I raised to negative N. So isa lang ni siya. Karon daghan man na sila. So sa kani mo ni siya. 1 plus I raised to negative 1 kay at N is 1 man, 'di ba? And then pabali manggud ka, pabalik pa ano ka ba? Dili ka pa forward, pa backward ka. So ang exponent diri ma-negative. And then kanina pod. So N is 2 man na, so negative 2. And then kanina pod, 'di ba? Ang P is equal to imong ibalik ang mga A. So, inaani ang iyahang order or sequence. And so on and so forth. Mao ni ang second to the last term. And then this is the last term. 'Di ba? Karon, unsa man atong napansin, 'di ba kani this is an example of geometric sequence. Nganong geometric sequence man ni? Kay naa sila'y common ratio. Unsa man ang common ratio nila? 'Di ba common ratio is second term over first term is equal to, 'di ba ana dapat equal ang ratio. So for example, ato ang second term is A times 1 plus I raised to negative 2. Divide nato na sa first term na A times 1 plus I raised to negative 1. So, makancel ang A. So, unsa man ang rule sa exponent? So, 1 plus I raised to negative 2 plus 1. Ano mo guna? Negative 2 minus, di ba? Pag division, ma-minus ang exponent, negative 1. So, negative 1 ang mugawas. So, ang common ratio pala is 1 plus I raised to negative 1. So, nasa like common ratio tanan. So, therefore, this is a geometric sequence. Human, unsa man imong gibuhat ana, di ba gi-add nimo per term para makuha ang P? So, ang imong gibuhat is, kuhaon nimo ang sum of geometric sequence. Nya, unsa may formula sa sum of geometric sequence? Di ba kani? Sa algebra, sum of geometric sequence, n terms is equal to the first term multiplied by 1 minus the common ratio raised to n over 1 minus common ratio. So, sundon nato na pattern. So, itong first term is A times 1 plus I raised to negative 1. First term ni ha, A1 ni siya. And then, multiplied by 1 minus, sundog lang nato, times the common ratio, which is ito. This is the common ratio. And then, erase sa n. Over 1 minus, ang common ratio is ito. Okay, so ito lang gikuha ang pattern. Inani mo gawa. So, unsay sunod? Saan man nato na siya pag-simplify? Okay, so, ang kaning denominator, himuon nato ning fraction. Unsa man equivalent fraction ani? 1 over 1 plus I, di ba? Kay para ma-positive ang sign sa exponent, ibaba nato siya. Okay? And then, ang say sunod na gibuhat, gi-combine nato ang denominator. Combine the denominator. Pag combine sa denominator, makancel si 1. 1 minus 1 is 0 man. So, nabili na lang I over 1 plus I. Ang numerator, walay pagkabaguhan. Karon, ang buhaton na pod ani, ang 1 plus I, isaka na pod sa numerator. So, maunang, diri ang, isaka na po diri sa taas ba, gisaka dira. Pero ang numerator, wala na bag-o. Di ba, wala na bag-o gihapon. Over I times 1 plus I raised to negative 1. Gisaka man nato ni. Okay? And then, unsa atong nakita, unsa atong napansin. Sa itong napansin, kani ug kana same terms. So, makancel. So, therefore, ang nabili na lang a times 1 minus 1 plus I raised to negative n over I. O, pwede na ni siya as formula. Pero kung gusto jud nimo mas hanay, pwede nato na siya kanang i-simplify pa jud. So, ang kani siya, this is equivalent to this one. Ngano man, kay ang gibuhat nato ani gigawas nato ang 1 plus I raised to negative n. Gigawas nato siya. So, paggawas ana, tapad na sila sa a. So, 1 divide 1 plus I raised to negative n. So, di ba 1 divide 1 plus I raised to negative n. And then, minus, kani man to nga term atong gigawas. Kanina term ang gigawas. So, divide niya siyang sarili, minus 1. And then, para ma-positive ning negative n diri, ato siyang gibaba. So, morning, a times 1 plus I raised to n, or gisaka di ay, tama, gisaka di nato para mo-positive iyang exponent. So, 1 plus I raised to negative n, gisaka nato. So, a times 1 plus I raised to n minus 1 over I times 1 plus I raised to n. Ngano ni siya? Kay kani nga term, di ba gigawas naman nato, gibalin nato diri para mo positive ang exponent. Okay? So, algebra lang na siya. Kung makalimot mo sa formula, baliki ang concept. Balik mo ani, kani ang inyong makuha na sequence. And then, if ma-memorize ninyo ang sum of geometric sequence, i-pattern lang siya. And then, mauna na. Pwede gani kanina lang jud inyong formula. Masi, kuan wala na siya na simplify. Inyo lang jud tarungon og bracket. Okay? Basta na-memorize lang ninyo ang geometric sequence. Okay? So, mauna ni ang final formula for the present worth of an annuity. So, kani siya, di ba? This is in terms of I and N. Kung naay mga compounding periods, so alis di lang ng I ug R over M. Kung naay mga compounding periods, alis di lang na siya. So, ang I mahimong R over M, ang N mahimong MT, di ba? So, kani siya na formula, pwede po ni siya kanina formula. Ang I, gialisdan lag R over M, ang N, gialisdan lag MT. Okay? So, ang kanina kanina factor na times sa A, we call that the uniform series present worth factor. So, if mangutana sa problem, What is the uniform series present worth factor? So that means P over A na siya. So if 'di ba i-divide nimo ang A diri, mawala naman na. So P over A is ito. Uniform series present worth factor. Kung imuha na siyang i-reciprocal, baliktad nimo na. So this would be the capital recovery factor A over P. Okay, so i-reciprocal lang ni siya, ibaliktad, di ba? Ibaliktad lang. So, ang iyang reciprocal is capital recovery factor A over P. Alright, let's talk naman the future worth of an ordinary annuity. So, ibig sabihin, ang mga annuity or series of equal payments, dalo na to na sa future. Kaganina, gidala na to sa present when n is 0. Karon, future when n is n. Okay? So, dali lang na siya. Remember that the future worth of a money is equal to the present worth multiplied by 1 plus I raised to n. And then we know that nakuha naman nato that P is just A multiplied by 1 plus I raised to n minus 1 over I times 1 plus I raised to n, di ba? Mao man ni ang value sa P natong na-derive. So, ato na siyang i-substitute diri times 1 plus I raised to n. So, simplifying, we have the future worth of money, A times 1 plus I raised to n minus 1. Okay? So, unsa may kalahian ana kaganina? Kaganina, sa present worth, o dara, A times 1 plus I raised to n minus 1, I times 1 plus I raised to n. So, kani siya, ang future worth, wala lang siya 1 plus I raised to n sa baba. Okay? So, pwede pod kani in terms man ni sa I ug N, but we know that I is R over M at we know that N is empty. So, kanina formula, pwede pod nato na siya ma-rewrite as this one, F is equal to A times 1 plus R over M raised to MT minus 1. Actually, this is R over M. I man, so R over M. Alright, kaning factor na gi-multiply sa A, we call that the uniform series compound worth factor or F over A. Kani, kung ibaliktad na to na siya, then that's called the sinking fund factor F over A. Okay ha? So, mo na to ang timan-an sa ordinary annuity. Oh, sorry, this is A over F. Baliktad naman, A over F. Pasang tarongon. Okay, so this is A over F. Alright. What is the relation between A over F and A over P? So this one, this is A over F. Diba? Sinking fund factor. So ang A over F, plus na tog I. So, mahitabo, ito na siyang i-simplify, diba? Pag plus na to ang I, mo na ni ang kuan denominator, and then I plus kani multiplied by I. And then, unsay mahitabo, igawas na to ang kuan. Ang I, gawas na to ang I. So, I times, I divide I, 1. This 1 divided by I is 1 plus I raised to n minus 1. Diba? Karon, sa nahitabo, makancel ang 1. 1 minus 1 is 0. So, ang nabilin, I times 1 plus I raised to n. Pero unsa man ni siya na term? Kung ma-remember nato, this is also the capital recovery factor, 'di ba? This is also the capital recovery factor. Therefore, ang relation between A over F and A over P, ang sinking fund factor na A over F, plusan daw na tog I, equal ra na siya sa capital recovery factor na A over P. Okay? So, inana na siya. Alright, so let's have an example. What are the present worth and the accumulated amount of a 10-year annuity paying 10,000 at the end of each year with interest at 15% compounded annually? Okay, so ang pangutana is the present worth and accumulated amount. So that's the present and the F. Okay, so once na nato ang mga given. So ang number of years T is 10. Annuity paying 10,000 at the end of each year. So sanabi at the end of each year, then ordinary annuity. So ang annuity dito is 10,000. Compounded annually. So M is 1, 'di ba? Annually man, so M is 1. And the rate is 15%. So 1 lang man gihapon ang compounded annually, so N na lang ta. So therefore, kung P atong kwaon, A times 1 plus N lang kasi M is 1 man gihapon. R di ay. 1 plus I di ay. I, 'di ba kasi ang I R over M. Kunya 1 man ang M, so I is just R. Okay? Raised to N is MT. M is 1 annually times T. So, N is just T. So, pwede ra na siya. Minus 1, di ba? Over I times 1 plus I raised to N. So, therefore, the present worth, annuity, 10,000, 1 plus 0.15 raised to 10 years minus 1 over ang I is 0.15, 1 plus 0.15 raised to 10. Okay, so let's solve for P. So 50,187. Point, pila to? 69. So this is the present worth of the annuity. Bali, kung magsige kag hatag og 10,000, para makadawat kag 10,000 for 10 years, need nimo mag-save og 50,187.69. Okay, and then, what is the accumulated amount? Kung sige kag hatag og 10,000 karon, pila man ang future amount ana? So, we solve for F. So, F is just taas kay na formula, 'di ba? But naa naman tay P. So, pwede ra na P times 1 plus I raised to N. 'Di ba? Na naman tay P. So, So, pwede ra mo balik ta ani. Pero pwede ra pod na inani na formula imong gamiton 1 plus I raised to n minus 1 over I. Pwede ra pod na. Pero diri na lang ta sa first kay mas dali. So, F is equal to 50,187.69 times 1 plus 0.15 raised to 10. So, F is So, the answer is 203,037.20. So, 203,037.20. Okay? So, same answer. Okay, there is another way in solving this one without memorizing the formula. Ato lang timan-an. 'Di ba? Ang future worth sa money is F is equal to P times 1 plus I raised to N. And then, i-treat na to ang F as A. And P, 'di ba, present. 1 plus I raised to N. So, solve for P. So, if we solve for P, A over 1 plus I raised to N. But, 'di ba, kung ato ni siyang ikuan pod, 'di ba, A times 1 plus I raised to negative N. So, 'di ba, ang present worth is ani 1 plus I raised to negative 1 plus A over 1 plus I raised to negative 2 plus A 1 plus I raised to negative 3 and so on and so forth. So, summation siya, 'di ba? So, pwede na to i-punch sa calculator sigma A over 1 plus I. Tarongon sa nako. So, i-punch na to sa calculator summation of A over 1 plus I raised to N. N, asa man siya mag-start? 'Di ba mag-start ta when N is 1? So, N is 1 until N is 10. Right? So, let's see sa calculator. So, sigma shift, tapos, A, 'di ba, annuity, 10,000. Human, 1 plus I. Ang I nato is 0.15. Raise nato na siya sa N. Pero wala may N sa calculator. So, X. Alpha X. So, asa mag-start? When X is 1, mag-end siya when X is 10. So, this is the present worth. 50,000 50,187 gihapon. Okay? Mao gyapon ang answer. And then, if we solve for F, so P times 1 plus I lang raised to N. So, F is 203,037. Okay? Dali lang, diba? So, this is another way in solving the problem. Okay, example number 2. What is the present worth of 500 pesos deposited at the end of every 3 months for 6 years if the interest rate is 12% compounded semi-annually? So, what it means here is that ang interest rate is 12%, originally 12% compounded semi-annually. So, unsa daw ay ang equivalent kung at the end of every 3 months na or quarterly. Okay, so isulat sa nato or kuan sa nato ang effective rate. Diba ang effective rate kung every 3 months, that's kuan quarterly, M is 4. So 1 plus I and then M is 4. Minus 1, equivalent ni siya sa 12% compounded semi-annually. So, 1 plus ang I is R over M. So, R is 0.12. Tapos, semi-annually months over 2. And then, M is 2 minus 1. So, money ang equivalent effective interest kung every 3 months. So, let's solve. 0.02956. So, kibali, ang 12% compounded semi-annually, ang equivalent niya kung compounded quarterly or every 3 months, ang I should be 0.02956. Okay? So, mo na ang iyang equivalent. Karon, ang utana gyud, what is the present worth of 500 pesos deposited at the end of every 3 months? So, this is annuity, ordinary annuity. So, ang A is 500 pesos for 6 years. So, the T is 6 or N is 6. Kasi naay naman nato ni kibali kung ER over M pag yun nato na siya, ang R kibali gyud 0.1183. Okay, so let's solve for the present worth. A times 1 plus I raised to N minus 1 over I times 1 plus I raised to N. Okay, so ang annuity 500, 1 plus I, 0.02956 raised to N, 4 times 6 minus 1 over 0.02956 times 1 plus 0.02956 raised to 4 times 6. This is P. So the answer is 8,000, 8,000 508.05. Okay, so there must or nalay difference sa decimal pero they are the same answer. Okay, so how do we solve this using Caltech for present worth? So, 'di ba, ano naman to? Shift and then numerator is annuity. Annuity is 500 over 1 plus I. So, 1 plus 1 plus 0.2956. Oops. 0.2956 raised to, okay, asa man nato ni erase? X, diba? Karon, ila day ang, asa day mag-start? When X is 1, diba? At the end of each period, so 1. Then asa mag-stop? 6 ba atong ibutang? Dili. 24. Okay, 4 times 6. Quarterly times 6 years. So, 24. 24 man ang NO. 24 man na siya. Okay, so isulat na to ha. 500 over 1 plus 0.02956 raised to 24. Ay, sorry, x di ay. X. So, mo ni ang sigma. Mo ni ang pattern na yung sundon. Magsugod siya when x is 1. Mo-end siya when x is 24. Okay? So, equals same answer, 8508.05. Alright, that's it for today. See you tomorrow.